It's another month of updates, and while a lot of it is under the hood, there is one big thing that I've been working on this month that is very noticeable. And that's the new main character! Yay! That's still work in progress in terms of animations and things like that, but you can see it has been added in. Has the run, has the dash, it has even an attack that we'll get into in a second, and I kind of want to talk about the process for this. So this is, right, 8-directional, as it was before with Manny. The only thing is, it seems a lot thinner, doesn't it? Mostly because for this, the proportions of an actual character versus a mannequin, which is very thick and mechanical, right, is different. Which is actually something I'm thinking of adjusting and making it stylized. So I have this character and I'm already planning to redesign it because once I saw it in movement, there are some things that just don't translate great. And some of the things is, I want it to be a little more stylized. I think that will work much better than this more realistic kind of body. Now, I don't want to make it like completely cartoony or like just way out there. But when I say stylized, I mean more so like D&D dwarves are stylized, right? With how big and like muscular they are, right? That's not a normal like amount of muscle for a person, like on an average person, right? They're in that regard, they're stylized. Elves are stylized, right? Same thing. So maybe like emphasize the proportions, things of that nature, that kind of stylized. But regardless, this is now the character, and I've actually changed a few things on how I'm rendering it. I'm still rendering it through Blender because I tried the Unreal method and it just didn't work. Also, I changed the way the normals affect this character. So the way I was doing it before is I was taking the normal map of the full character. I'm no longer doing that. I'm just doing a outline, which makes it feel a lot more like a sprite and less like just a 3D character that was rendered, which was the main problem before. In fact, if I go ahead and go into the dungeon, there we are in the dungeon. Let's go find us some old enemies like her. She's a good example of this. She is pretty noisy and the normal map doesn't quite work very well on her. So while he is an actual sprite, then he reads a little bit better. Now he has an outline, so that's not a good example. I'm not paying attention to where anyone's attacking me, but you'll see as they move, it's a little bit noisy. It's not great, but these 2D sprite ones, the original 2D sprite ones that don't have a-directional movement, right? They read a lot better, in my opinion. So trying to imitate that more. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think the proportions need to be adjusted, but I think it's in a relatively decent spot. Now, the way I've been achieving that, as I said, is through Blender. So I have the character in here. It is now being done in 12 frames per second compared to 15 as it was before. It has a lot more static frames, so it doesn't constantly move everywhere. And just like before, I am rendering out just basically a low resolution, effectively pixel art drawing of this. And the way I animated this was actually in Cascador. So Cascador actually made it relatively simple to animate. I was originally going to do it in Unreal, but I tried out Cascador and actually really liked the fact that it basically turns everything into an IK if you wanted to. So you can see here, this is like the full attack sequence. So thrust forward, thrust to the like slash to the side, and a spin. Again, at 12 frames a second, that's what you're seeing. That's why it's not smooth. But then end result is going to be in 12 frames a second. And it needs to be very punchy. It needs to feel quick. So you took this, and you bring this into here, and you set up the materials like you would a toon shader, like so. So now I've removed all of the texture work and I've left it basically to pure colors. So everything is effectively just pure colors. So that way, when it renders, you get far less noise. Now, already this is in a pretty good spot, but then I can take it into a program like Pixelover after it's rendered, and I can give it a palette or make it indexed. Now, I can pipe in an exact palette here, or I can generate one with adjustments. So if I wanted to, I can just choose this and I can say, okay, this entire thing is now only 22 colors. Or if I want to, I can say it's now 10 colors. And it'll just pick the 10 kind of best ones that it thinks, right? And then I can export this out, and which is what I did. In my case, I used one, and then I can go ahead and, if I wanted to, then build on top of it, because I think the sword needs to be set up for it, right? So, because the actual palette for this was the one just for the character. So now I can just say generate with adjustments, and now it has, right, the sword. And the main thing is, what this is helpful for is it reduces the amount of noise that was there. Now, there wasn't a lot of noise to begin with because of the way we were set up the rendering, right? Because of this, it's just more hard lines here. So it's a little bit less of a chance of that happening, but this eliminates it even more. And then from here, I can export this into a program like Sprite, where I can set up all of these different animations, because I render them all together. So I have the down, left, right. It just goes clockwise directions. So this is the full like animations here. I can go ahead and set those up. And I've actually tried doing outlines on this. I've tried outlines. I've tried drop shadows. I've tried rim lights effectively on the sprites. I've been trying all of this, primarily to separate the character from the background. And one thing I realized is the outlines that I had just did not look good. The drop shadows did not look good. I tried a little decal shadow here. It didn't look good because we have an actual shadow. So effectively, no outline is the best visually, but really it's the environment that needs to change in its style. Now, I don't mean like I'm gonna make it non-cubic. That's still gonna be cubic. I just mean like it needs to be a little more painterly and a bit less noisy. You take a look here, this is just a screenshot, right? But you could see here, it is very like noisy details. It has a lot of nice things going on for it, but it needs to be a little just more stylized. I think even more, just a little softer, I think will go a long way. So that way the character kind of pops a little bit more off of the background. It's not a huge problem, like because when you're moving or when enemies are moving, when everything is moving, right? This is not really a problem. All right, we go in here, and by the way, right, we have the attack here. Not all animations are in, by the way, right? So you can still see the ability animations are still many. I haven't gone everything in yet, but the main thing is it is all kind of working together. And again, you could see them all, right? You could see all of the characters. It would be nice if they were just a little bit like stand out a little bit more. Emissive doesn't work because it ruins like shadows and things. So I'm still trying to figure out what is the best way of kind of really like making them noticeable. And I think the main thing is to adjust the actual like look of the environment itself and maybe adjust the textures for that. So that's where my thought process is. Also, I've gone ahead and killed Lumen, so it is now a higher frame rate than it was before. It is now just using screen space, global illumination, and reflections, because there's really no reason for Lumen. And the end goal is most likely still to do full bake lighting for the environment, and then just do regular dynamic lights as they are for all the characters. But with the environment being baked, I think it will be a good performance improvement. This is still running at 1440p, 100% resolution, full max settings, no upscaling of any kind. This is just pure raw max settings on a 4080 and an i9 14900K. So like I have a top end build, which is why I'm trying to get this up and up and up. So make sure that the lowest bar for the performances still can run the game. And I have an old 960M laptop that I believe somewhere that we'll be trying out to make sure that the game can run on that still. Not an Ultra, not planning for Ultra, but I want it to run and run well. So that's the goal. That's the main thing that I've been working on this month, is just primarily the character and trying to make it feel integrated, figuring out how I want the style to look, how I want it to kind of work with the environment, how the animations need to work. All of this has been going into this month. And next month, we gotta finish up setting up all the animations. There's a combo system that I want to implement. There's still so much to do, but that's okay. It's not like I have a definitive deadline. We'll get it done. In the meantime, if you'd like to try out the current pre-alpha, you can grab it for yourself on Patreon, or you can also join these wonderful people here in supporting what I do. It really means a lot. And if you'd like to join the community, the link to the Discord and everything is down in the description below as always. And if you're curious about other parts of the game, I recommend checking out this devlog to see what else is available in the game.